Welcome. Today we are going to tell you how to 10 times your communication. Now, if you don't think communication is sexy, you do know, though, that it's important. And communication, we're going to talk about how you should communicate better, was not one of my favorite ones to record this week, but it is so important. And if you can nail this one, not only will you 10 times your communication, I think you're going to 100 times everything else, all the other chakras, because then you're expressing yourself, you're feeling no resentment, you can express what the future self you're trying to create. It's amazing. Throat chakra is where it's at if you want to be happy.
Yeah. You wouldn't believe how many times in a day I'm like, no one's good at communicating. If we can communicate, then we can essentially love each other more. Because what happens is that we all have this, we're all really loving people at our core, but we all have such bad throat chakras that what we really mean to say never comes out, or what we're meaning to communicate never comes out. So if this is your first time to our channel, this is Making Mindfulness Fun, and here we help you on your journey to higher consciousness so you can experience more joy, love, and emotional liberation.
Every day we're sharing tips and inspiration on how you can do more mindfulness in your day in fun and easy ways.
Please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can see our entire series and support us. Make sure you like this video so you can share with everyone else who you know doesn't have good communication, but you want to tell them subtly that, hey, you should work on your communication.
That's about everybody we know.
Yeah, it's everyone. Everyone has throat chakra trouble. That's why we're talking about it today. And make sure you leave a comment below to tell us what you think of this video and if you have trouble with your throat chakra. And stay tuned because we're going to be telling you some tips on how to balance your throat chakra.
So before we get started, think about your throat chakra. You probably naturally, if you don't know much about chakras, you naturally probably think like throat chakra means being able to speak. But the most beautiful thing about throat chakra is it's actually your ability to listen. And for somebody like myself who seems so blunt and just spews out fire, maybe has an overactive throat chakra, a big thing of healing throat chakra can be learning to not always say what's obvious to you. Not always communicating every single detail that you see. And it's been a really big journey in my life to harness more of my type 2 of compassion by just listening without, maybe there's going to be some internal judgment. I call it analysis. Other people would call it judgment. And just letting it resonate, letting it sit there and go, the best thing I say is, that's interesting. I tell myself over and over to balance my throat chakra. I say, that's interesting. It's cool. Didn't think somebody would think that way, but okay. And then the second but most important thing is to learn to say no, to limit, to set that boundary and be, there are a lot of people who it took me a long time to just be like, no, I can't go there because it just brings out too much emotion, too much passion. And Isabel has done an amazing job of developing her underactive throat chakra. You wouldn't think when you watch these videos that she didn't used to use her throat chakra. You would think that she has an overactive throat chakra now, but she's actually done a really amazing job. So I'm going to hand it over to Isabel.
All right. Okay. Oh, now we're going out of the cycle. I'm not ready. I'm just kidding. But yes. My journey of throat chakra has been very extreme, and for those who have an underactive throat chakra, you'll definitely be able to relate to this, that all my life I've always been I'm a type 9. I'm not naturally assertive. I'm not naturally the dominant person in the room, but I do want to be a part of it. And so my unhealthy throat chakra always came out as either super quiet or blabbermouth. And I still have some level of this. So if you know a blabbermouth in your life, it might be an unhealthy throat chakra. It is. But it was so powerful for me and so hard for me to open that throat chakra because there's such a strong heart chakra. A heart chakra plays a huge role on your throat because it balances compassion for others and for yourself. So standing your ground in what you believe plays a role in your throat chakra because you have to be able to say no. And you have to be able to believe you're worthy. And it's really hard for someone with an unhealthy throat chakra that I always remember there's this person in my life who I'm not going to say the name of, but they have an overactive throat chakra. And they're naturally very loud. They state their opinion. They're not compassionate. They just say what they mean and they don't really listen to you. And so as someone with an unhealthy throat chakra, it was so hard for me all those years and even now to be like, my voice is valued. My voice is valued. It's like hyperventilating inside. Just speak your throat chakra and say no. And that it was so amazing for me to go on this journey for opening my throat chakra, because when you can open it, I realized that there was literally, the chakras are energy hubs. It was shutting down my energy. If I could not speak my truth, all my energy was gone. I was exhausted, literally, physically, mentally. I could not be in a place of confidence and empowerment. And so opening my throat chakra was so important to me because it made me finally express my truth. It made me express myself, and it made me feel like I was heard, and people, I realized, valued that. And our voices are so unique that they need to be heard. So opening your throat chakra is so important.
Yeah, I mean, you guys
That's
know
a little
it.
tangent.
And I think, like, really in the end, the throat chakra is meant to be the perfect balance between your heart and your third eye. People often some people with an overactive throat chakra aren't aligned with their third eye, but a lot of times they just see it how it is, and because the third eye can see. But the heart chakra is our compassion and our empathy. And so the throat chakra really has to come to a balance of wisdom, of what needs to be said, of what should be said, of the wise thing to be said, and a heart chakra of, like, what does this person really need to hear to make them not feel like they're hurt, not feel attacked, right? And as someone who really struggles more on being on the more empathetic side of trying to tell people what they want to hear, I know the hard part when people say, oh, you just need to set a boundary. How do I do that? So setting a boundary, for a practical tip that you can practice in mindfulness, is thinking about what it is that people sometimes say to you that cause you to feel, oh, I can't speak anymore, I feel triggered, I shouldn't speak more, I shouldn't stand my ground. Often makes you feel, frankly, just attacked. Contemplating what the emotion at the root of that is. Like, oh, I felt attacked because blank. And this takes a bit of self-reflection. You might need to sit in meditation. You might need to go through some journaling processes. What are you feeling? Because once you get to the core emotion that you're feeling when someone says a certain thing, then you can essentially pre-plan what you need to set that boundary with that person. Because a lot of times you're like in the moment, like, how do I set a boundary? I don't know how to respond. This person feels like this overbearing energy in the throat when you feel this shied away energy. And so you have to think through, okay, this is the emotion, this is the boundary I need to set, and then you can create balance in your throat.
So in our chakra healing, power, passion, productivity course, we go really in depth on a lot of different ways that you can attack this, whether it's from through yoga, through journaling, through mantras, meditations. I have 3 lectures in there. There's a lot that we can offer to help you with throat chakra, and I'm gotta tell you, like, it makes all the difference. As a mom, seeing my kids work through throat chakra is going to be way more valuable than any math, science, history they could have learned, because communication is what gets us through the world. It is the most important thing, to whether it's to express ourselves or to build relationships by being able to hear other people. So I hope we inspired you to, like, look a little bit deeper into your throat chakra so you can 10 times your communication, 100 times the depth of your relationships. I know I've been married to my husband for almost 25 years. The depth of our relationships, because we have such open throat chakras with each other, is incredible. I wish everybody could experience that type of love in their life.
Yeah. All right, sorry.
Well, I had a long thing, so
Go ahead.
I did want to add, though, too, because it's super important what Gabby said, to set those boundaries and think ahead of time. But I noticed still, for a lot of people, even myself, when starting off with an unhealthy throat chakra, you just don't know what your truth is. I see so many people, I'll ask the question, like, well, just tell me, or like, what are you trying to say? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like,
Don't you think when we get into Myers-Briggs, I think it will help do this more? I think overall, the reason some people, if you have an N versus an S, if you're more an intuitive versus an observant, I think that's partially why some people struggle with that. So we will definitely, in a couple more weeks, touch on how all of this relates, because we're building on Enneagram and then chakras, and then we'll get into Myers-Briggs and show how these things are related. But it's definitely true that if you are an observant type and not a data-driven observant type, finding out, like, what is that? I don't know what my truth is, will make a huge difference in helping you to, like, chip away at this.
yeah. And so, since we're here making mindfulness fun, a fun inner child activity that really helped me a lot with opening my throat chakra was, one, I learned to play the guitar, and that helped me express my truth so much because the music resonated. But also, I always tell people, listen to music and journal about how they feel, because that's the smallest way to notice your triggers and your emotions and how they come into play. as the music is playing, how they make you feel, because our expression is hiding behind that.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. See you guys tomorrow.